Welcome to the Third Generation Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Eric and Rob.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Third Generation Wrestling Podcast. 3GW here on a Thursday night, talking AEW. I'm your host, the Real Big E, my co-host, the Ambassador Rob. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good on this Thursday night. How about you, man? How are you doing?
Doing all right, a little tired. A lot of stuff going on at home, but hopefully talking about this show tonight will close out the evening. And I'm awaiting a new Resident Evil that will be released tonight. I pre-ordered it. Looking forward to playing that. I don't know why, because those games scared the shit out of me. But, you know, I guess that's why, I like horror. So I guess that's why I play them in the dark, usually with a headset even, so I hear everything, see everything, do the whole experience. So, yeah, looking forward to that. We're, of course, joined by special guest, MJ Book. What's going on?
Hello, sir. Good to talk to you. Good, of course, to be on 3GW. I will not be getting that Resident Evil game because I'm on a zombie band, so I cannot be playing any zombie games until The Walking Dead is no longer on the air.
Okay, that's your thing.
That is my thing.
Well, we are here. This is, believe it or not, our very first post show since WrestleMania. So we've done, we did a worst gimmick match countdown, and we just recently did a Mortal Kombat movie review. So this is our first of many upcoming post pay-per-view. Well, this wasn't a pay-per-view. This was just a wrestling show, weekly television show. But as far as post wrestling shows go, this is the first. There's two more this month. So it's going to be interesting. Kind of busy. This one here is Blood and Guts. This is AEW's version of War Games. So before we get into the card and everything, just as far as the aesthetic, the two rings, and the style cage that AEW uses, Book, what'd you think of the structure itself and just from aesthetic? What'd you think of it?
It wasn't bad. I thought the cage kind of looked a little cheap for some reason. I don't know why. Especially at the top. I didn't get some of the stuff at the top. Maybe that was for extra protection. That's cool. But it wasn't terrible. I mean, we've all seen worse giant cages, obviously.
Yeah, we have.
we've seen far worse cages than this one. At least this one wasn't colored red or blue or whatever. It didn't have little
on top of one another,
or stacked on top of one another, or there wasn't little bags with weapons in it. So
yeah,
we've seen worse cages. It was tolerable. Nothing to complain about.
I thought it was cool. I mean, nothing special. I agree with Mike that the top of the cage, I think that was all for reinforcements. We'll talk more about that. I think ever since 1998, when we saw Undertaker throw Mick Foley through the top of a cage, that people are taking extra care with that. So, and I'm good with that.
Yeah. Okay, well, kicking off the show, they get right to the action with Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus MT Nakazawa and Book's favorite, Kenny Omega. Then, of course, Don Callis comes out with his promo saying Kenny Omega didn't make it to the show. And Tony Schiavone undercuts that with what we've already seen Kenny Omega here tonight. So we know he's here. Which, if it's TV, I think that's bad for the announcer to do, even though we can kind of pick up on that. We're not stupid. It's not our first wrestling show. But you still take away from when Kenny Omega is going to attack by saying that. So, of course, Moxley and Kingston make their way out to the ring, and that's when Omega attacks them both from behind. and then they fight on the outside to start the match, and then they finally do get back in the ring with Nakazawa cheating, hitting the low blow on Kingston while the ref was distracted. Tags in Omega, who gets in some pretty decent offense. I've been more impressed with Kenny lately. He goes for a knife edge chop on Kingston, who no sells it, and then they trade chops back and forth. Omega goes for a moonsault, misses, and then Kingston tags in Moxley, who puts the boost to Nakazawa. A German suplex and a textbook power driver by Moxley, which is pretty good. Goes for the cover, but Omega breaks it up. And then suddenly Omega just leaves ringside and goes to the back, leaving Nakazawa to get beat by Moxley and Kingston. I didn't care for this opening. I just didn't think it was the best way to start. I thought if they flipped this in the second match, it would have been better. But I gave this a C minus. Yeah, I didn't really care for it. And then of course post match, we get Gallows, Anderson, Young Bucks attacking Moxley and Kingston, and it's just this just dragged it out even longer. I already didn't care for the match. Now this is just bringing the show down even more. And I don't know. And Gallows and Anderson, y'all might as well stay in WWE because you're doing the same shit that you did there. You're just doing it for Kenny now instead of AJ. So yeah, that's how I felt about it. Rob?
I gave it a C. It was just average. Once I saw this match, I knew that, okay, this isn't really going to be anything special. It's just a TV show with a big main event. I don't want to say they're mailing it in, but you could also tell that they weren't putting everything into it either. Right. So because of that, I could only give it an average grade, and that would be a C.
I have to agree. I gave this only a C, middle of the road, just very middle of the road, not even high or low, just a regular old C. There was not a whole lot to this match. Just, there was some moves here and there. Eddie Kingston, every time I see him, it's like, damn, man, can't your mama make you some better tights, man? I mean, it looks like your mama made you those tights back in the 80s. I mean, come on, bro. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot to the match. Kenny left, and after that, who cared? So only a C, middle of the road.
Yep. Then we got a Double or Nothing promo featuring a match announcement. Dr. Britt Baker will finally be taking on Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. I think that will be probably one of the better matches on that card. So looking forward to seeing that. Then we had QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson. These two started out fast and furious. Cody just jumping in the ring, going right after QT. Oh, excuse me, QT Marshall, should I say. Cody tries to use his weight belt, but the ref takes his away, and then QT has one himself and then whips Cody with it, which I was like, okay, he's been using the belt in almost every match. Why now do you want to take it away? So they fight to the outside, and there's Arn Anderson waiting for QT. They get into it, and then Arn just kind of rubs QT's head into the ring post. I don't know. It halfway looked kind of goofy, but then it also looked kind of cool. I don't know. I just have a soft spot for Arn Anderson. Maybe that's it. I don't want to rip on him at all. He gets thrown.
Or I will.
He gets thrown from ringside. And then QT Marshall, okay, here we go. It's a sunset flip into the ring. And according to JR, he needs to go see a doctor because his ass is cracked.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we had to see that. Well, they blocked it out. I should mention that pretty much everything before the Blood and Guts match was pre-taped. So that's why they were able to block it out, which thankfully they did. So there's that. Cody goes for a back elbow drop, and then QT catches him and hits him with crossroads, only a 2 count. Then QT goes for a tombstone power driver, but gets countered twice in a pretty amazing sequence to me. And Cody ends up hitting the tombstone, but QT kicks out. Crossroads on Marshall, but he still won't stay down. And then Cody finally does win with the figure 4 as QT taps out. This was way better than the first match. And that's kind of how I graded this. I gave this a straight up B. I enjoyed the match. For some reason, I don't know what happened with Cody. At the end, he was bleeding for some reason. I don't know what happened there. I missed it, but yeah, that's what happened. And then post match, it was Anthony Ogogo knocks out Cody and then covers him in the British flag. Don't know where that's going, but okay. Like I said, I gave it a B. What do you think, Book?
Well, the flag thing, Rob probably remember. Maybe Rob remembers this too. And Jr. kind of hinted to it. That was an old bit from from the Cowboy when he got attacked and he got buried under a flag. I think it was a Russian flag. I can't remember what exactly, but it was a Russian flag. So they were hinting back to that, and that's what Jr. was mentioning. As far as the match, I gave it a C+, high middle of the road. It was interesting at times, but I was just not, for some odd reason, I just couldn't get myself into this match. I kept watching it, and I just couldn't get into it. And I just didn't understand why QT Marshall was just seemingly copying everybody. And then he does the diamond cutter.
He tried to.
I'm like, what? Why are you doing that? It's bad. And we all know that people copy moves. I get it, but did you have to actually do the diamond cutter sign? You didn't need to go there with it.
GP.
So, yeah, I didn't get it. Plus, even JR made some quib about him studying other wrestlers' moves. I was like, okay, whatever. But and Cody getting cut. I rewatched the match and I couldn't figure out where the hell he got hit to get cut, but he always bleeds, and he didn't see himself about to get attacked. He's desperately trying not to look, so I guess the guy might have been a little late. There just something was off about the match, but it wasn't terrible, so I gave it a high C+, C+, high middle of the road.
Yeah, I thought it started off good with Cody going right after Marshall. That was fine. But the rest of the match, I wasn't blown away. I don't know. Cody just – neither one of these guys, I think, are the best wrestler. And I just didn't think the match was really very good. And then there was a sequence with the tombstones, and I don't know. That didn't work for me. I'm a tombstone you. No, I'm going to tombstone you. No, wait a minute. I am going to tombstone you. No, I'm going to tombstone you.
But it was the way they did it.
I hated it too.
Look real to me.
It looks stupid.
Those transitions.
Yeah, I'm
that's
sorry.
Hard to do. That's hard to do.
I get that it's hard to do, but I don't know. It just looked too choreographed. It didn't look natural to me. That looked too choreographed and stuff like that. I wasn't feeling it. So for me, the match was a C-. Maybe I'm being a little harsh, but I'm not blown away by Cody as a wrestler. And this is my first time seeing Marshall wrestle. I don't watch AEW regularly.
Marshall.
I wasn't blown away by him. And once again, I've said this a couple of times in AEW, people bleeding for no reason. You can't just bleed and leave me wondering why you're bleeding.
Yeah.
I don't get that. So, yeah, because of those things, I had to go C-. I was not impressed with this one.
Well, I get it. But I just, when I watch a show, I'll go by match. Was it better than the last one? Hell yeah. So I couldn't go down on it, but apparently you felt differently. Then we got to Tony Schiavone interviewing Scorpio Sky and Evan Peters. And then they're at the top of Daly's place, and Darby Allin attacks. This was a pretty cool sequence or segment. I like how he attacked Scorpio Sky, and then him and Peters fight off, and then he climbs the scaffold like Spider-Man real fast, does the coffin drop, and then you see in the background Scorpio Sky running up with the trash can and just wallops
Yeah.
Allen with it. And then they beat him up and then throw him down the cement steps. I'm just like, you don't want to live to see 30. You just don't. You can't tell me you do. You have a death wish. Because he doesn't take anything off. Matter of fact, he fell, stopped, and stood up and jumped again to make sure he hit them steps again. I don't understand it. Somebody got to tell me how he's going to ever enjoy the second half of life, because he's man.
He's in the now. He's a Jeff Hardy. He's a Mick Foley. He's of that ilk. That's just who he is.
They weren't this reckless though.
They weren't this reckless. Well, Mick was more reckless, and Jeff.
But Mick would have a point in time in his career where he would take a break and he would be other characters and he would do regular wrestling. This guy, every time he's on camera, is doing some shit. And man, think about this. This is free TV he's doing this damn stunt on. At least get paid for a pay-per-view to do it.
You could say he was the only one that didn't sell himself short. The entire card, a lot of people I think were selling themselves short because it was TV. He didn't.
I think the Jeff Hardy analogy is appropriate, but like you, Big E, I don't know, man. There's no way you can fake falling down concrete stairs.
No.
So I'm hoping Darby, I know he's young and hungry. I respect all of that, but come on, man. Do you want to be wrestling 10 years from now? Hell, 5 years from now. Maybe dial it back a little bit. Yeah, I thought that was, for me, a little bit rough to watch. He didn't bleed or anything, but I really thought, when he was selling that arm injury, I almost believe that maybe he actually hurt himself because, like I said, they're concrete steps. No way to fake falling down concrete steps. But that's why Darby has the fan base that he has and has the following that he has. So I don't see him stopping doing those things anytime soon.
Maybe he had padding under his jacket that we couldn't see.
Somebody else said that too. Maybe
He might have
had
had
elbow pads on and stuff like that. But
he probably had some padding in there to minimize it a little bit as much as you can.
For me, it's the what could have gone wrong. Like, there's not only the cement steps, there's those metal handles, the guardrails that people use to walk down those steps. Dude, your head could have got wedged in between one of those. That could have gone really wrong. But okay, we need to move on here. We get a squash match, Dr. Britt Baker versus Julia Hart. I don't even know why they put this on the show. She wins with the lockjaw. I just gave it a D. I graded it for shits and giggles. It wasn't even a match. What'd you all think? Book, go ahead.
Oh, come on. You already know.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, come on. I mean, it was a fucking F. I mean, come on. I mean, this was pointless. There was no point to this match. This must be the member of the Hart family nobody talks about. And I think we saw why, because she can't do anything. This was a squash. This was a jobber. And maybe this should have been on Dark or something. But they're trying to pimp Baker because she's double or nothing. She's probably going to finally get her title. But this was enough. It was just pointless. Nothing more to say about it. It was crap.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I gave it a D, and I think I'm being pretty damn generous giving it a D. But, that's my grade, so we can move on. Waste of time.
Pretty much. And we get the 4-way tag team eliminator match. I missed the majority of this. I was kind of in and out. But what I did see, I thought it was decent. I like seeing Brian Pillman Jr. I always like seeing Jurassic Express. I'm hit or miss with SCU and the Acclaimed. You know, it is what it is. I respect the veterans. I'm glad to see that they got the win and they're going to stay together because they have this thing going on now that if they ever the next time they lose a match that they will break up. That's the whole stipulation. So they won, so they'll go on to face the Young Bucks next week for the AEW Tag Team Championships. So from what I saw, you know, it looked like it was decent. I'm just gonna give it a C, just because that's what I felt like it deserved from what I saw. Rob,
Well, I gave it a C plus. Up to this point, I thought this was the best match of the night, even though I wasn't blown away by it. I kind of, SCU, I guess I'm glad to see them get the win. I'm not as big of a fan of them, without Scorpio Sky there, but I don't think they're going to beat the Young Bucks, but at least they're getting their shot. So
right.
I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave this only a C, just middle of the road. SCU, I get giving it to the senior of the teams there, I guess you could say, but I was really hoping to see somebody like Jurassic Express come away with this win, or even the Acclaimed. SCU, the Young Bucks, that just doesn't excite me as far as a match. I've just never been that big of a fan of SCU, especially Kazarian. I think he's just fucking terrible. But there was it did get interesting at times, but not enough to get out of middle of the road. And by the end of it, I just couldn't find myself caring, especially with SCU winning. So it'll be them and the Bucks. I just don't think that's a great match. Hopefully they'll put something better together for Double or Nothing, but all I could get was a C.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like Frankie Kazarian. He's an old guy, but he's in great shape, and I enjoy his matches. I don't know about Christopher Daniels, though. I don't really have a whole lot of positive to say about him as far as in the ring. I don't know. I think he's past his time. Did y'all know?
Yeah. His better days are behind him.
Y'all know the story behind Christopher Daniels in WWE?
I don't.
Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?
Back around 1999, there was this whole Undertaker thing with the higher power. It was supposed to be him.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally. It was supposed to be
literally. It was
Christopher
supposed to be
Daniels.
him. It was supposed to be him. Yeah.
And I guess they decided last minute to switch it to Vince, but yeah, he was the original plan.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would have been any worse.
No. And I watched that Raw live. And I was waiting, like everybody else, like who's it gonna be?
I remember thinking it's probably Vince. I always thought it's probably going to be Vince. If Christopher Daniels showed up, people would have went, "Who are you?"
Yeah, that's what I thought. When I found out the rumor, I'm like, okay, it probably would have been worse because they'd been like, who the fuck is this? But, it is what it is. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the whole show. The reason why we're here, the blood and guts match, Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. I thought the cage looked great. I liked the concept. I like the bigger cage, that big feel. I hate WWE's when they say they're doing a cage match. I hate how small it looks. It does look better when there's two of them with like war games. And Rob and I have gone to a war games match, seen in person, saw two in person actually, and it was fantastic. And coming up soon, we'll be doing an NXT review. The good brother has chosen. You're more than welcome to come on that one too, Book. It's the first War Games back in 2017 that NXT did. So that's the pick. Tonight, or last night rather, it's pretty much a similar style, but I think the only biggest difference was instead of 5 minute intervals, only the first two combatants was 5 minutes. Everybody else was every 2 minutes. Outside of that, I think it's pretty much the same type of deal here. So Sammy Guevara and I'm gonna make sure I have my notes up here. I'm butcher this. Sammy Guevara and Dax Harwood will start this match, and these two are just 100 miles an hour to start this match. Absolutely awesome sequences especially with Sammy Guevara doing a backflip off of Harwood's back. I thought that was insane. Sammy has always, except for that whole deal with Matt Hardy, he's always put on pretty good matches.
Yes.
And then we get Shawn Spears in next, and he's the chairman, and he wouldn't be the chairman if he didn't crack somebody over the head with a steel chair. He leveled Sammy Guevara with that thing, and later on in the match, he would level he really hit Wardlow later. Jesus. Harwood, I forgot how he started bleeding, but he was just stuck pig bleeding, as JR would say. And then Book's favorite, Ortiz gets in the ring, the old fish flop. And he went nuts. I'm sorry, he did. And you gotta appreciate he channeled Sabu with that chair. He threw it straight at Dax's head, man. I was, oof.
Yeah, I would go there, not Sabu.
I didn't say it was Sabu equivalent. I say he was channeling Sabu. Then Spears. So Spears and Guevara, man, this Spanish fly off the top ropes, that was cool. That was awesome. All right, just that deserved the chant that the fans gave. So, let's see. So to fast forward in here, so once all the competitors were in the ring and we kind of this Mexican standoff, or if you want to use what's that movie Braveheart, where you got Pinnacle on this side and Inner Circle on this side, and they just charge at each other. I thought that was awesome. That was a great shot. Then FTR and part of what was it, Santana and Ortiz, they take up the ring. They do a spike pile driver. Sammy again hitting that coast to coast on Shawn Spears with the steel chair. That was awesome. And then of course the match had when MJF and Jericho were at the top of the cage, it felt like they had kind of got all their spots in too fast because they were kind of dragging after that. It was like, okay, let's slow down a little bit. Let's hit some submissions up here. Because, who does submissions at the top of the cage? I get it. You have to submit or surrender. But I don't know. I don't think I'm worried about doing a submission at the top of the cage. But at the end, MJF gets his Dynamite Diamond ring, levels Jericho, threatens to throw Jericho off unless Inner Circle surrenders, which they do, and the match ends. Gonna stop there. I'm giving this match A- because that's the match. That's the match. I loved it. I thought it was brutal. I thought people did not phone it in. A lot of people were bleeding, and Sammy Guevara was the MVP in the match as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'm gonna let y'all give y'all grades, and then whoever is last, y'all can just go right in with how you feel about the post match. Rob, what do you think? Would you grade it?
Well, look, by far, this was the best match of the night. I've never been a huge Sammy Guevara fan. I hated that match between him and Matt Hardy, that cinematic thing. But tonight, man, he was the star of the show. I was thoroughly impressed with him. I love this match. I loved it up until the end. Now, once again, this is a case, you mentioned it earlier, Harwood, bleeding like a stuck pig, but why? What did I miss?
Yeah.
And Mike Look, if you saw something that I didn't see and that Big E didn't see, let me know. A lot of these guys were bleeding, and I'm like, what happened? Did I miss something? I don't really get that. But the match itself, man, I mean, wall to wall, excellent. And then you spoke about the standoff when finally every member of each team was in the ring, and you know, they were face to face, and then they just go at each other. The way the match played out, man, it was awesome. But I did feel like the ending was kind of anticlimactic. You know, you got Jericho and MJF at the top of the cage, and it ends when MJF, the biggest asshole in all of wrestling, threatens to throw Jericho off the top of the cage. And everybody's like, okay, we give. You know he's going to throw him off of the cage anyway. He is an asshole. But you submit, you give up, and then he throws him off anyway. So I had to take it down a little bit for that. Still, I agree with you, Big E. I'm going to give it an A-, only because what was such a great match was brought down by what I thought was a very anticlimactic and not so great ending.
Yeah.
First off, definitely, Sammy deserves an MVP award. The checks being handed out, his envelope should be a little fatter because he was the man this night. And it was good to see because Sammy'd gotten himself in trouble at times. And it was good to see him. Had it been somebody with lesser talent, they'd have been fired. But this guy is so damn talented that they just let that shit go. The pace of this match was amazing. That Spanish fly off of the ropes between that was just amazing. Nailed it perfectly. Sammy did a little botch, but forgivable. Who cares? Then Jericho gets involved. And old man Jericho,
I was waiting on it.
as soon as he shows up, the entire pace of the match had to change because we got this old fat bear rolling on in who cannot do anything and seemingly had to rest every 2 minutes. I mean, it was, and especially when he was climbing, it took him about 10 minutes, it felt, to climb up because he kept stopping. He'd move for a second, stop, rest, move for a second, stop, move for a second, stop. It's like, okay, would you please just go up there? You're wasting time. Just go. And as far as the ending, yeah, come on, we all knew MJF, one of the greatest heels going, was gonna toss him off, and he did. In the end, I had to give this a B+. The fall, come on. You couldn't have painted those boxes better or the mat better. What the hell? I mean, we're supposed to believe that's like metal. That's what we're supposed to believe, that's metal. Yeah, sure. Okay. He fell through metal. Painted boxes. That was dumb. And there was even a moment where the camera pans right on Jericho's face and he opens his eyes. He kind of looks up and he sees the camera and he starts acting like he's knocked down again. I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yep.
So the match, B+, glad the Pinnacle won. But that fucking ending is a fucking F.
Yeah.
That's an F. That was a fail.
Yeah, I had to separate the two. I was glad that wasn't the ending of the match. I was like, okay, cool. I can grade the match separate from the post match.
Yeah, that was bad. It was ugly. It was ugly as hell, as Rob would like to say.
It was cardboard steel.
Yeah,
is what they tried to make us believe. They tried to make us believe it was steel. It was cardboard. What they should have done is after MJF threw Jericho off the cage, they should have just immediately put up the banner and the showing off. Instead, they like Book said, they focused in on Jericho's face, and Jericho's looking like, okay, are we off camera? No, we're not. Okay, I'm hurt. I mean, the whole way it played out, they should have just gotten out of there immediately. It looked so fake. We all knew it was fake. You should have just shown Jericho laying there and then immediately cut, show over. Instead, they kept focusing on it, and it was brutal. It was bad.
Yeah, it was. I was half asleep the first time I watched the show. So yesterday when it was live, I was laying because I couldn't watch it on. I don't know. The PlayStation doesn't get TNT or any Xfinity apps, so I had to watch it on my laptop. So I'm laying down here. It was getting late. I had already been up since 4 o'clock that morning, and so initially, if you're squinting and you're tired and you have sleep, and you see Jericho get tossed off top of the cage through what looks like steel, I was like, damn, they killed this man. Why they have old man Jericho jumping off this thing? And then I watched the clip again this morning on my way to work on YouTube. And I said, wait a minute now. What's going on here? What is this? Did you notice that they tried their best not to show that side of the ring because it was elevated?
Yep.
Yep. Give old man Jericho not far to fall.
Well, that too, and then there was how much padding was there under that
Oh my
hardwood
God.
or whatever it was.
They shouldn't have showed it. They just shouldn't have
not
showed it.
shown it. No.
No,
Leave it a mystery, or take, or at least a far, far away shot, but not right in his face.
We give WWE a lot of crap about stuff they do wrong. But when it comes to falls, they tend to do that shit right. If it's Shane doing a stunt, if it's Jeff Hardy doing a stunt, or really anybody.
Drew McIntyre, they've all done it, and they all do it good.
And they all fall. It looks like it kills. I'm sure there's something in place to protect them, but it's not so damn obvious. I'm just like, so whose idea was this? I mean, now, if we're gonna grade this ending versus Revolution, I'll still take this.
Well,
Okay.
it still speaks to a
Oh.
problem.
Are
They
you
don't
talking
know how
about the
they,
exploding barbed wire,
Yeah.
the so-called exploding
Yeah.
barbed wire.
Yeah.
it still speaks to a problem, though. They, for some odd reason, they can't
don't
get
know,
these
man.
endings right.
No, they can't. I don't know if it's Tony Khan. I don't know if it's
gonna say that.
I don't know if it's all the executive producers, Kenny, Bucks, and Jericho. Like I don't know. If here's my thing. If you want to do that spot and you're trying that hard to protect old man from hurting himself, then don't have Sammy do it. You know, have one of the bigger guys do it, Wardlow or
I guess my thing. Well, I guess look. Obviously, you can't. It's going to be tough to have any human being fall that far through steel steps. Okay. So what I'm saying is that no matter who you have do it, once the fall, first of all, give us a wide shot. Don't give us a close up. Let the fall happen. And then after that, just close the show. Don't give us any close ups. Don't ruin the illusion. Just get out of there.
That's the inexperience. Remember, I mean, I could point out so many times WWE has done this right. When they threw Rikishi off the top of the Hell in the Cell into the back of that truck. That, I mean, that was awesome. I feel
Rikishi
you
sold
feel
that
bad
so
for him.
perfectly. He
You feel
sold it
bad
so
for him.
well.
He did. And
He
she was
did.
like, damn, they might actually, Undertaker might have killed his ass. And then there was a pay-per-view. I think Rob and I did this as a retro. It was Umaga versus Jeff Hardy, and they fought all the way outside.
Oh,
And Jeff Hardy jumped off the top of a trailer into the swanton. But they did it where he jumped off. They had the sound effect, and then the camera cuts around. They're both laying on the concrete floor. So I'm guessing that they had a pad there, but we never saw it. That's still better than seeing old man Jericho fall through, like Book said, some fifth grade arts and crafts bullshit.
fifth grade. I think a fifth grader would have made that look better. This is like kindergartners put that stage together.
That looked like some paper mache bullshit.
I was going to say, I could have done that shit in kindergarten better.
Yeah, come on, man. That's insulting fifth graders.
And then, like y'all said, man, but that ain't enough. Jericho been doing this how long?
Over
30?
20 years.
30 years.
30 years. It's long enough. It's
You
time
don't
to
know.
go.
You don't know the way for somebody to tell you we off air. He
Looks right up at the camera.
talking to Dean Malenko and all that shit. And he's like, oh shit, the camera's on. Oh, I'm still dead.
It's just embarrassing. AEW. I can just imagine Vince looking at this and just laughing his ass off.
Because look, that match was great. But unfortunately, the post-match, people are probably going to be talking mostly about that. Unfortunately,
they already are. Over Twitter. They already are. They're ripping it to pieces.
And that's a damn shame because we all said it. The match was great. He's just using the wrong people. I don't think they should use Jericho. I get it. It's him and MJF. They're the leaders. But if you gotta protect them that hard, I mean, we saw Tommaso Ciampa drop Adam Cole through 2 tables off the top of the cage. I mean, there's no comparison. I'm sorry, there's none. As far as these gimmick matches, man, if we just waited, now I'm like, damn, we just waited.
I'm not sure this is that bad.
No, the match, no. But I guess we just have to do maybe one day we'll do a botch countdown. I don't know.
Oh, good God.
But I guess at the end of the day, the match was great, and we all agreed the post match was shit. All right, there's just no way around that one. But what did you all think? Did you enjoy the show? Did you enjoy the match? Did you start cutting cardboard out and painting it silver and putting studs on it and jumping on your couch? Oh man. Well, again, we appreciate y'all for listening. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Third Generation Wrestling Podcast. You can email us at thirdgenwrestling@gmail.com. Any requests for retrospectives, we'll do our best to do it because just navigating Peacock is a bitch. So just bear with us on the retros. And check out our previous shows. We just did a combined podcast episode of Mortal Kombat 2021, the movie review. That is up on both the Countdown Podcast 2020 and 3GW. So make sure you check it out. And we also, Rob and myself, we did a countdown, kind of just easing out of the WrestleMania season. It turned out to be more hilarious than I thought. The worst gimmick matches, top 10. Man, it's so bad. But it was such. It's the worst stuff makes for the best entertainment. That seems to be the way it goes.
Yeah, thanks for the bad memories.
Let me see. Check those out. WrestleMania post shows, night 1, night 2 is available not only to listen to on the podcast, but you can check us out on YouTube. If you've never seen us in our faces, you want to see our faces, you can check it out on YouTube as well. I think that's pretty much it. Coming up, we've got WrestleMania Backlash, which is still a retarded name. And at the end of the month, we've got Double or Nothing. So that's what's coming up. And I'm pretty sure in between there, we may do a retrospective that good brother Blake has chosen. Rob, you got anything?
Hey, always want to thank the listeners. We appreciate y'all. Let's hear from you. Let's hear what you all thought of the ending of that blood and guts match with Jericho laying all up in that cardboard.
Winking at the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a meme.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait to hear his first podcast after that debacle. So yeah, thank you all again. Take care. Please, please, please get the vaccine. I got mine. Both shots. You might get some symptoms, but trust me, it is worth it. Let's beat the COVID. Let's get back to going to live wrestling shows and living like we used to before all this happened. So appreciate y'all again. Take care.